Hi, I'm Connie Fox with Freedom from Metals, and I'm answering a question here today for Jeanette. And Jeanette asks, my son doesn't want to write because he has severe brain fog, but he is dealing with mycotoxins. He's mold toxic, has candida, babesia, bartonella, and parasites. He's very mercury poisoned. We lived in the Philippines and ate a lot of fish. He also swallowed a mercury amalgam filling and played with a broken thermometer with the mercury in there. Last year, he was in a psych unit for irritability. Please help. The question is, do you detox the molds first, then the mercury, and then the parasites, or all together? My son is dealing with lots of guilt feelings, OCD, brain fog, high anxiety, low testosterone, and paranoia. Excited to hear from you. Thank you. So, yes, those are certainly classic symptoms of mercury toxicity, indeed. And good question. I learned that we definitely need to focus on eradicating the pathogens first. In most cases, and this applies to someone that's more moderately to severely toxic. Obviously, your son's not a very mildly toxic case. So more moderately to severely toxic cases, of course, develop a worse condition of pathogens. Metal toxicity causes the overgrowth of pathogens. And for very mild toxic cases, it could just be maybe a little candida overgrowth and maybe some bad bacteria overgrowth or a little dysbiosis. When we get to be more moderately to severely toxic, it just worsens. We get worse candida overgrowth, dysbiosis, SIBO, parasites, mold, fungus, viruses. We get, Lyme co-infections. Epstein-Barr is common. There's thousands of species of microbes. There's not even a medical name or medical test for. But I presume when someone's heavy metal toxic, you've got the overgrowth of pathogens from one degree or another. And typically, the more toxic one is, the worse the pathogens are going to be. So when we try to focus on detoxifying before we eradicate the pathogens, that can really be a big problem because one, the pathogens can block the detox pathways. So that's really mainly the liver, kidneys, gallbladder, of course, the whole lymph system, the neck region, where we drain neurotoxins, toxins in the head and brain that channel down the main detox channel here in the neck via the adenoids, tonsils, the vagus nerve, the whole lymph system here. So this area also particularly gets more clogged, so to speak, conglomerated, or microbes conglomerate there. And then they're always, of course, excreting waste, toxic waste, mycotoxins, ammonia. So if this neck region gets clogged, then imagine if we try to pull mercury out of the brain and it can't channel down and through the neck, through the body and out, mainly through the urine and stool, through the liver and kidneys. What happens is it recirculates, we repoison ourselves, and that exacerbates symptoms. And if we do that too much, we don't want to do that at all. Trust me on that. But especially if you do that more than just very mildly, it can be very dangerous. We can really cause excessive cellular damage, exacerbate symptoms, and can be actually extremely problematic, where one can go through severe suffering and symptoms by doing that. So we want to first open these detox pathways. So when we take something or do something to start removing the metals that get stored intracellularly, then it can channel through and out of the body efficiently. That's absolutely very important. Also, the pathogens are putting such a great hardship on the body. We want to help improve our state of health to a certain degree so we can handle the rigors of detoxification, mobilizing these metals, having them pass through the body to exit through the liver and kidneys mainly. We want to enable our body to be able to handle that challenging process more efficiently. And so eradicating the pathogens first, or making a certain amount of progress with that first, is very important. One, these microbes are causing cellular damage constantly everywhere. They're in the organs, glands, brain, the gut, everywhere. And they're causing cellular damage everywhere. So we want to, of course, stop that cellular damage as soon as possible. These microbes are also eating half our nutrients every day. So it's hard for us to really make some good progress restoring the nutritional deficiencies that we always get from one degree or another when we're heavy metal toxic. that limits our ability to nourish and strengthen our organs and glands and repair the cellular damage, which is done with nutrients. So we want to make that improvement. So the microbes, just our body being filled with these microbes all over, it really can actually just prevent us from even being capable of removing the metals efficiently at all. And it can just make it a problematic process. So I learned, and that's what I did. I had severe parasites, candida, Lyme, other viruses, and so forth. Dr. Klinghardt had me focused on eradicating the pathogens and making some good progress with that before even thinking about trying to remove the metals. And of course, he knew what he was doing because it can be a smooth process, a non-problematic process when you start detoxing at the right time, where you've properly prepared the body first. And that's one of the main goals that we want to accomplish before we focus on removing the metals for more moderately to severely toxic cases anyway. Mild toxic cases can start their program detoxing, but when we have a bunch of microbes in the body, we need to start improving that to a good degree before we focus on detoxing. In regards to mold first or parasites first or viruses first, typically we focus on the larger microbes first, mold, parasites, fungus, and really kind of simultaneously. If you know that the mold is worse, then, you can kind of focus more on the mold, secondarily parasites. And we typically go with the viruses last. The smaller microbes are the viruses and are more hardy, so to speak, and resilient. So we go with the larger microbes first. That includes candida, yeast, mold, fungus, bad bacteria, parasites, and then viruses last, the smaller microbes. And then the detoxifying of the metals. Now, we don't have to be 100% free of pathogens. And until we're free of the metals and not toxic anymore, we're really never going to be fully free of all the pathogens, because the pathogens will always be an issue from one degree or another until we detoxify and we don't have a heavy metal toxic environment anymore, which is a perfect environment that's very conducive for these microbes to grow and colonize very easily. It's like fertilized soil for them, the metals, even more so than chemical toxicity. It's like milk and honey to them. So when we're heavy metal toxic, we're going to develop the overgrowth of pathogens from one degree or another. And the more severely toxic we are, typically the worse the microbes get. So yes, we focus on parasites, mold, as you asked about, then the viruses, and make some good progress eradicating them, improving that significantly to where we open the detox pathways. We're able now to strengthen our organs and glands and get more nutrients to the cells. We've started repairing and regenerating the cellular damage with more nutrients, getting more nutrients to the cells. We've improved our state of health. We're less sensitive. We're less inflamed, we're more nourished, we're more vital, we're more comfortable in our own skin. We may not be feeling great yet because we still have the metals to remove, but we're definitely in a better state of health and more stable, grounded, and comfortable and less reactive. And then we move on to removing the metals. And believe it or not, that can be a smooth sailing process when you get to that point. It's before that when we need to accomplish some goals to properly prepare the body first before we focus on detoxing. And then when we get to the detoxification phase, which is the last step actually for the moderately to severely toxic anyway, that's really the easier part, believe it or not. Yes, hope that answers your question. And thank you very much. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below and I will get to them shortly. All right, thank you.